the WABA media department. And on the phone this evening, I have the owner of the Mount Vernon Shamrocks, Miss Patrice Moore. Let me get applause for Miss Patrice, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Patrice, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
All right, let me first thank you for calling. And promise I won't take up a lot of your time. So let's get right into this. I like to start off by always asking my guests, when and where did your love for the game of basketball first begin?
Oh, wow. That's a very interesting question, but one that I'm probably prepared for. I have always enjoyed the game of basketball since I was a little girl, probably going back to about when I was 5, even 6 years old. My father was an assistant principal of a school in Yonkers, New York, and he used to have the middle school kids at the time pick me up from elementary school and bring me to the games and watch the games. And at the time, I would be sitting with the cheerleaders, and I would be cheering with the cheerleaders, and I knew all the cheers. And one day I said to myself, I don't want to cheer for anybody else. I want somebody to cheer for me.
All right. All right.
And I love the game.
Wow. So did at that time right there, did you just start, you picked up a basketball and started?
Oh, yeah. I picked up a basketball, started playing, but my brother would take me to the park with him, and I would get a chance to play with him and my little boys. And, so one of the kids, the older boys, took a liking to me, would just let me shoot baskets all the time. Mm-hmm. And then I started watching basketball, and I loved Walt Frazier. Mm-hmm. And I always said that one day I would marry Walt Frazier. I got close.
Got close? Okay.
I got close.
Okay.
My husband played in the NBA. He was a point guard. I feel like I did pretty good.
Okay, hold on. Back up, because I think I might have missed it. You said you got close. What happened?
So my husband played in the NBA. He played for the Nets, the Cavs, and the Clippers. Okay. So I didn't get Walt Frazier, but I got somebody that,
got somebody
wasn't
else.
a superstar, played.
So if you don't mind me asking, who was your husband?
My husband's name is Lowe's Moore.
Okay.
And he played at West Virginia University in the Hall of Fame there, and then he played in the CBA with Phil Jackson and George Karl and Bill Musselman, and so he's Mount Vernon has a rich history, basketball history.
Oh, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that.
He's one of those people richly invested in Mount Vernon.
Okay. All right. So moving right along. You started playing. Did you play any high school, elementary school, or pickup leagues?
I played in high school. I played in junior high school is where I started pretty much playing organized basketball.
Okay.
And then it was funny because Marsha Blunt, who's is the president of the league, and one of the owners of probably multiple teams. Connected with me, but I played against each other in junior high school. And then when I got to high school, we ended up playing on the same team as freshmen, which went undefeated. Freshman year. By the seniors, we were the first team in New York State girls public basketball to win the state championship, and we were undefeated. So we all went on. There were 5 of us that were seniors, and all of us went on to play college basketball.
Wow.
I played at Fairfield University on a scholarship.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's right down the block for me. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I live in Connecticut. Yes, that's right down the block for me. So, speaking of that, it's very, very interesting that I got this interview today because I was talking to somebody about Mount Vernon basketball because a friend of mine had called and his stepson, he plays in New Rochelle, and they had a game, I think it's like against Mount Vernon, and the kids from Mount Vernon slapped them around a little bit, and the parents, from what I was told, was a little upset about the beating that they got from the Mount Vernon kids. So I said, well, what are they mad about? I said, because Mount Vernon has a history of producing great basketball players. So Can you elaborate on that? Because you know better than me about because I know about the Gus Williams and his brother, the McCrays, Mike Linden. So I know a lot of players, but can you elaborate on the history of Mount Vernon basketball for the listeners?
So Mount Vernon has rich history on both sides of the gender, shall I say, gender equation. For the men, a lot of people do know Gus and Ray, but there were people that were long before them that played great basketball in the history of Mount Vernon, and Richie Garner. Played at Manhattan College, and he was drafted. And you had, of course, you had Gus. And Gus didn't even play until he got to, I think, his senior year in high school, senior year in high school. And he went on and played. As most people know, he went on and played with the Seattle Supersonics. He had his brothers. He came from a basketball family, so you had David Scott Williams, you had Ray Williams, and of course Ray Williams. Most people know he went to Minnesota, and then he went to play for the Knicks and the Celtics, and very close. Then we had there's Earl Tatum, and Earl Tatum went to Marquette, and he played with the Lakers. Then Lowe's Moore, of course, which is my husband. He played at West Virginia, and played with the the Cavs, the Clippers, and the Nets. And then you kind of had his brother Curtis Maui Moore, who played at Mount Vernon High School, and then he was drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers. And then following him, you've had great young people that have come up. You've had Jonathan Mitchell, and he played at Rutgers. You had Ben Gordon, of course, who ended up going to UConn and winning a championship at UConn, and then playing with several Chicago Bulls, and then the Detroit Pistons and the Charlotte Hornets. So you've got Isaiah Cousins right now, who's playing in the G League. He went to Oklahoma, was really, played really well there. You've got a young man coming out right now, Jason Douglas Stanley, who's going to George Mason. You've got quite a few young people that have done great things, and I'm sure in the midst of all the names of great basketball players that I've missed some, but it was very exciting for me to be in college and knowing all of the guys that played basketball. I mean, Ricky Burton had Seton Hall, and we just had some great basketball players. Donna Russell played at UMass. So they've made names for themselves all across the globe. And Mount Vernon, men's basketball, boys basketball, for us to be only 4 square miles, I think we're ranked number 7 or 8 all-time NBA players out of all the high schools. The ones that are ahead of us, you've got schools that are much larger. You've got prep schools that are included in there. So Mount Vernon has made a mark, and we're not done yet. As far as the girls are concerned, we've had Katrina Gaither, who played at Notre Dame, and she played. She was our only player from the women's side that played pro ball, both I think in the WNBA as well as overseas. But with with the girls, you've had Gwen Hackett and Maria Roberts. Chiquita Powell, for Marsha and I, when we were growing up, we looked up to people like Gwen Hackett, Maria Roberts, and Chiquita Powell. They were like icons to us, and all we wanted to do was to set our own mark. And in 1985, when there was the first women's girls high school state basketball team championship, we set our mark by being the only team at Mount Vernon High School to win the state championship. I eventually coached Mount Vernon High School for 10 years as a head coach, and brought us to the state semifinals, but never really got to the championship. But it was a great opportunity for us, and I enjoyed coaching. So that my love of basketball has never really stopped. My daughter played for me, and then at Fairfield, I actually coached girls that went on to play Division I. Taylor Palmer, who played at West Virginia, LaBertia Gordon, who played at West Virginia and Seton Hall, Andrea Ibsen, who played at Marshall, Nadia Duncan, who played at LaSalle,
Mm-hmm.
Sade King, who played at Hampton, and then the University of New Haven. So, so I've had an opportunity to coach. I tell people that, those are the kids that went to Division One. Right now, the one player from Mount Vernon High School girls is playing Division One is Kirsten Moore, and her last name, of course, represents the Moore family. And she's playing at Howard University right now. So, we have a history. And the good part about it is our ball players are not just ball players. We're actually doing some really positive things out there in the world. Though I'm not just a coach. I also am the CEO of a drug and alcohol treatment hospital center in upstate New York. And so, we do things. We don't, we didn't just become basketball players.
Okay.
Leslie Smith, who played on our championship team, is doing great things down in Maryland. Chris Brennan, Marsha, of course, everybody knows Marsha, and Katrina Fields. Those were our Fab Five, and we're all in the Hall of Fame at Mount Vernon High School for girls basketball.
That's great. So
the president of our team, Shalonda Young, was a freshman when Marsha and I were in high school, and she went on to make several scoring records over at Queens College, and she's the president of our basketball operation.
Wow. So okay, let's get into the Shamrocks. Let's get into Shamrocks. First, where did the name derive from?
So on December 31st, 2016, a young girl by the name of Shamoya McKenzie was shot and killed on her way from basketball practice from Mount Vernon High School. She was playing on a JV team, and that day the varsity coach asked her, did she want to play varsity? And she said yes, but they said, well, you want to stay for practice? And she said, I'm tired. I just finished JV. Can I go home and come back to the next practice and start afresh? And they said yes. And her mother wanted her to stay, but she convinced her to take her home. And as they were driving home, the mother was driving down the street, and two guys were shooting at each other. And the bullet went through the car window. And when Shamoya went to duck, she was 6'3", and she couldn't duck all the way down. The bullet hit her in the head and killed her.
Oh, my God.
And so I was working with the family on the Shamoya McKenzie Foundation, and just trying to bring peace and harmony to our community in Mount Vernon, because gun violence has been so prevalent. And one day we were sitting, Marsha had called me like in April of last year and asked me, was I interested? And I had a lot going on, and I said, no, not really. And I went to the meeting, and I heard somebody say Shamrock. And I said, Shamrock? They said, yeah, that was Shamoya's, that was her email address, and so when I immediately left, and I called Marsha and said, I'm in. And I said, I got a name for this. And I said, we're going to be the Mount Vernon Shamrock. And so even though all Mount Vernon teams have always been maroon or gold, because we took the Shamrock nickname, I gave her, the colors were green and yellow and black. And I chose green, yellow, and black for two reasons. One is Shamrock is usually green, but green, yellow, and black were the colors of the Jamaican flag, West Indian flag, and Shamoya was Jamaican. And so that was kind of like a little play on words. You had the Shamrocks, but also the Jamaican colors.
Wow.
So that's why the colors we chose, and that's why we have the name we have.
So how do her family feel about that? I'm quite sure you discussed this with them. What were they thoughts?
Her mother cried when she heard about it. She's one of our number one supporters and fans. One of the things that we do is they have a Shamoya McKenzie Foundation event, usually in September around the time of her birthday, which I think is September 14th. And so we support their event. We support the Shamoya McKenzie events. We have, shirts that say Shamoya on it. Any shirts that we sell for the team all say Shamoya, because we want them to never forget the impact, that young lady had. Her jersey has been retired at UConn, at the Liberty, because she wanted to play for UConn. She wanted to play in the WNBA, and as an 8th grader who was 6'3", and the look she was getting at that age, she would have been a great ball player for us at Mount Vernon.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's deep right there. So, let me ask you another question about. Let's get into last year's season. So last year was your first year. Was actually the league's first year, and you was one of the teams to come on the first year. What's your thoughts on your first season as a owner of a professional basketball team?
Well, first of all, there are 4 of us that are part owners. So, and so we are a group of women that have come together to do this. It was a great opportunity for us because it in a time right off of the Shamoya McKenzie experience, it was a time to bring some positivity to our community and to have some activities that would bring fun. And so we actually had a cheerleading squad called the Mount Vernon All Stars, and they came in Mount Vernon Alpha All Stars, and they came and cheered. And even though they were young kids, they were so excited about and I think sometimes people miss out on the fact that though they were young, sometimes people need to look up to somebody and to see, a lot of times they're cheering for boys and boys basketball and men's basketball. For them to be able to see what women are doing was a positive effect, impact on them. Yes. Remember, I started off as a cheerleader, and my daughter Sherelle, who ended up playing at Fairfield, she started off as a cheerleader, and it wasn't, we transitioned because we saw women play basketball. And it excited us, and so, when I think about the fact that, that we were able to do that for our community, we wanted the purpose of the league, and this is what intrigued me, what Marcia talked about, was to be able to provide young ladies the opportunity to go over, right? And so for us to finish out the season, and one of our players, even though it was just before our final game of the season where we could have possibly won and gone on to the playoffs, our best player, our leading scorer, our best athlete got picked up the night before. Wow. Literally at 6 o'clock the night before our game, she got picked up. So it was bittersweet. We were happy for her, but we had to play a very tough game, at a time when, we could have, gone over and gone into the playoffs. So we were grateful for that, and that was the goal. So as we think about what the goal was last year, a lot of the girls came to our season out of shape. We had one girl who had a baby on July 17th and came to the team 4 weeks post birth, giving birth, and lost 40 pounds before the season ended, and started getting stronger at the end of the season. Her name is Brittany Horn. She had played at Georgetown, and so she used it as an opportunity to get herself back into shape. So we had coaches who had never really coached on that level. So we won 4 games, we lost 4 games, but we were right on the precipice of an opportunity for a playoff and to really show ourselves. We had great fan support. I think that each game we had a really good group of people that came out and supported us. So that's the nucleus for us going into 2018. God.
So are you expecting, or how many players are you expecting to return from last year? Or you haven't discussed that with the players yet?
Well, we probably, I think that we could probably have, a good nucleus, 5 or 6 that could come back. Okay. There are some people that, there's another team that's opening up in Brooklyn, and we have some people that were in the downstate that may prefer to try to work to go down to a team that's closer to where they live, than to come up to Mount Vernon. Yeah. We're hoping that some other people that have graduated high school that were players that were from this area would consider coming and playing for us, and maybe even some Connecticut players, because there's no Connecticut team yet. So
at all.
It would be an opportunity for somebody who lives in Connecticut. It's a good train ride down from Stamford, New Haven line, to drop you right off in Mount Vernon, and it's easy to get to.
So what with your experience from the first season, what are the expectations for the second season? Because you have knowledge. Yeah.
I mean, we want to make the playoffs. I would love to see us win the chip, but it depends on what you pull together. It's really, really about, So I would like to see us make the playoffs and win the chip. But most importantly, I would like to have the young ladies get an opportunity to go overseas, and that we have enough players to replace them, that they could go overseas and then somebody else can fill that gap, and we don't miss a beat. I mean, I think that's really what you want to be able to do. You want to see your best players, get an opportunity to go and get a contract somewhere.
And elevate. So I'm going to ask this last question. And you pretty much answered it, but I just want to hear it all together. Why is this league so important for young ladies?
Well, if you think about the NBA, if a player doesn't get an opportunity to make the NBA team, the G League has been there for them to give them an opportunity to stay active and then get picked up from the G League back up into the
NBA.
Into the NBA. So one of the things that intrigued me when Marsha first brought it to my attention was that the women didn't have that. There was when the women didn't make the WNBA, they were like out there trying to find other things to do. It's not like we're getting, we don't have money. We're not at a place that we can pay them lucrative salaries, at this time, at this league. But we're giving them an opportunity to keep themselves in game shape, game mind, so that if an NBA player goes down, they don't have to try to find somebody who might be, doing something, out there and not in game shape. These are folks that will be game ready. And then if they're ready to go overseas, they can go overseas, and be ready for that opportunity. Because most of the ladies, people don't realize that they make a lot more money going overseas than they do over here.
Yes.
So this is the opportunity that we want to give to them. And we're grateful because the referees that we have been supportive. I mean, we love the fact, I think last year, we had games where there were 3 women on the game.
Yes.
I mean, it says a lot. I mean, here we are today, March 31st. We're still in March History Month, and it's a great opportunity for us as women to set our mark and to continue to do what we can to make a historical impact on basketball and on young girls' lives.
Okay.
We want to be able to also give people an opportunity to do internships with us. Like, people come and say, what is it like to, because, people think that it's just about basketball, playing the game. But there is so much more to making the game effective.
Yes.
You can become an official. What is that like? Sit down and watch the officials officiate. You can learn how to do the clock. You can learn how to, be a general manager, be a player personnel developer, So we want to give people the opportunity to also do internships who are looking into sports management, and we would welcome the opportunity for somebody who's looking to do that, who's out of college looking for an internship to be able to come and work with us.
And with that said, where can someone that would be interested in contacting you guys, how do they contact you?
We have a Gmail, which is Shamrock, but it's SHAMROX 30 at gmail.com.
Okay. And where can you guys be found? Any social media, websites, anything? Where can you guys be found from there?
We have Shamrock also on our Facebook account. We have Facebook and we have Twitter.
Okay, so that's and Instagram. So that's just Shamrock. Or Shamrock Basketball? 30. Oh, Shamrock 30.
Shamrock 30. 30 was Shamoya's number.
Okay. All right, Patrice, I want to thank you very much for your time. Okay.
And then I just want to shout out,
Okay.
Crystal Dorsey Dane, who's the Corona, and Mia Williamson.
Okay. Well, who are these?
And of course, everybody knows Marsha Bourne.
Okay. Shout outs to those days, to all those individuals. Patrice, thank you very much for your time. Okay.
Thank you. Have a great day.
I'll see you at the owners meeting in May. Have a good evening.
Yes, sure.
Bye bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye.